Welcome to the Education Podcast, where it's all about helping people and organizations unleash their greatness. Hosted by me, Pasitawa Haufano, and my brother.
That's me, Kalolo Haufano.
This Education Podcast features lively discussions.
When they share it, you see that they're beginning to feel empowered.
My heart, it's full of pride for me to be at Maitai Samoa.
As well as tips on leadership and business by some of the top minds and influencers around the world.
You don't necessarily need a degree these days. There's so many pathways to success.
Welcome to the Education Podcast. So, welcome to another episode of the Education Podcast, where we explore inspiring stories and practical advice to help you unleash your greatness. Today, we're thrilled to have Richard Walters-Aholelei with us, who is the founder and chairman of Kura Cares Charity. Kura Cares Charity is an organization dedicated to uplifting Māori and Pacific Whānau out of poverty in Tāmaki Makaurau or Auckland. Under his guidance, Kura Cares Charity continuously strives to bridge the gap between income demographics, providing essential resources to raise the living standards of families in need. Their work includes monthly food parcels and food drive projects, distributing food vouchers and offering credits for essential commodities to whānau in need. But Richard is a visionary leader and the driving force behind their multiple educational training programs, including Pathways to Positive Change, Mentoring for AtRisk Youth program, which is a program that empowers at-risk youth to make positive changes and decisions in their lives. Today, Richard is here to share his insights on their Pathways to Positive Change program, its impact, and how each of us, including you and me, can contribute to making a meaningful difference in the lives of young people. How do we engage young people, and how do we empower them to reach their full potential? Joining us today, thank you, Richard, for your time. How are you doing, brother?
Thank you, brother. Yeah, doing well, and I'm honoured and privileged to be on this platform. So thank you, my brother.
Oh, awesome. We are grateful to have you here. So let's kick things off by maybe tell us a little bit about yourself and something interesting.
Yeah, so I'm born and bred in New Zealand. My family are from Māori. I'm Māori Tongan. My dad's Tongan, my mum's Māori up from Ngāpuhi. Got a massive heart for the community. I love creative thinking. And I'm a big believer that your current situation isn't your last destination, and I'm always about trying to enable our whānau to think outside the box. So,
I love that. Growth mindset.
Yeah, that's it.
Can you say that one more time?
Yeah, your current situation isn't your final destination. The best is yet to come. So I always try to give people that incentive, So yeah.
I love that. Very inspiring. Well, can you tell us a little bit about your story?
Yeah. So I'm 33 years old. I've lived fitness. I'm a fitness enthusiast. The reason why I got down the fitness avenue was, what we're like when we're kids. We're South Aucklanders. You get easily led down different pathways like gangs and drugs and alcohol. And school I found was quite tough for me because intellectually I'm not really that advanced in terms of, I suppose, someone in front of me telling me what to do. Like reading books, I struggle to read books. And so school, I always found it quite hard to comprehend. And so I ended up going down the whole gang pathway and doing drugs and all that type of stuff. And when I was about 15 years old, I ended up signing up my first gym membership at an old gym, which was Creo. Funny enough, Darren my good friend, runs now the Creo franchise in Papakura. And that was kind of, I suppose, my anchor that actually really got me out of the really bad mindset of leading down the gangs and all that type of stuff, because I always was able to use the gym, like, what it's like, bro, when you're a 15-year-old kid, you got testosterone going through the roof, you got your parents on top of you, the world's against you, and I always found that fitness, the gym was an avenue where I could actually be angry, but it was always, there was a positive outcome, because you could change your body and use that energy to then be able to get something positive out of it. And so I always used fitness, so that's always stuck with me since then. I've owned gyms. I currently still own a gym. I've been a personal trainer, so I've done all that kind of stuff. And I think the best thing about being a personal trainer especially if you do it for the right reason, is the opportunities are always there. Like you can get a really good income from it and all type of stuff. And so now I've kind of ventured away from the whole gym scene and now focusing solely on our community work and really investing time and effort into that. So yeah.
Nice. And how did this idea for a charity come up?
Yeah, awesome. So during COVID-19 in 2020, we all know those traumatic scenes where people were lining up for food. And I owned a gym then. It was called CrossFit in Papakura. And so gyms were all closed during that period. I think it was level 4. And like we were just sitting around doing nothing. And I was like, man, why don't we go and do something? And so I ended up reaching out to a few contacts about getting some food together. So we got together all this food. We got up and goes. I ended up driving all the way down to Rotorua to get some up and goes, bro, because I knew one of my friends, he was on the board of Sanitarium, yeah. And I said to him, hey, bro, I want to do a food drive. Man, I want to do something stupid. I want to do a food drive. And I gave him a call. He goes, yeah, okay, well, if you can drive all the way down to Tui Ridge Lodge, I think it's a park, it's a school park, down in Rotorua, there's 2 pallets of up and go waiting for you. I was like, oh, okay then. Well, we're gonna drive down there. And I think it was maybe about 8 o'clock in the morning. So I ended up driving down there about 10 o'clock. I think it's about 2.5 hour drive. Drove down there, picked it all up, brought it all the way back. And then I said to my wife, I said to her, okay, babe, we've got all this up and go. We need to find some bread and milk. Had to go with it. Well, eggs. So I ended up reaching out to one of my other friends who does community work. He goes, okay, yeah, if you contact this guy, he'll give it to you. Sweet. Drove all the way. It was over in Henderson. Got it together. So we had all this up and go, all this eggs and bread. And then I did a post on the Grapevine pages. Hey, whānau, we've got a whole lot of food. If anyone's in need, come to my gym. We'll have it all ready. So we had, I think, a time frame about 5 p.m. But people were already lining up at 4 p.m. And I couldn't believe it. We were gone and before the time had already started. And the hardest thing was when 5 o'clock came, because that's what we told people to do, was to come down at 5. We're empty. And I said to my wife, I was like, shucks, we can't do this, man. We've got to do something different. So during that course of time, we kept on doing all the food drives. And all the time we would do food drives, we were getting massively, like people coming through, just droves, just massive. And I was like, man, we're not helping the problem. We're just enabling the problem. And so I said to my wife, I said, no, what we're going to do, we're going to change. I said, we're going to come up with a charity. I know what we can do. We can get funding and we can actually not be an ambulance underneath the cliff. We need to change our whānau's behaviour and we need to actually break these cycles because we're just enabling the problem. I know that there's a need out there, but it's that whole theory of teach a man to fish, they feed it for a lifetime, give a man a fish, he only feeds for the day. And I said, this is how we're going to get around this problem because we're just giving them, it's not helping our people. And so I ended up going down the avenue of establishing the charity, going on the charity's website, how to create a charity, what to go through, building a trustee, getting a board. And it took me about a year, and we finally got it established, I think, in 2021. And now looking back, it's been the best thing for us because we've been able to help so many people. And I think the best thing about it, bro, is we've actually put a lot of other organizations, I suppose not on check, but we've actually changed the way things are done. And we're actually working alongside a lot of organizations that didn't do things the way we do. And I think the best thing about it is that coming from a business sense and then using it in a charity mindset, you become real creative. And the creativity is amazing because you can do things a lot differently and you can actually help people a lot better. I think there was a lot of things that should have been done differently with the charity in the charity sector that we're trying to do, right? So what we do, we still give kai, but what we do is we make sure that whānau comes through to our classes. So to get your kai, you got to participate in a certain amount of classes and all that type of stuff. We use Facebook marketing massively. So that again is using the entrepreneur business mind to then applying it to the charity mind. Because a lot of the time you talk with charities and people don't really know those charities exist. So what we do is we make sure that the awareness is there. And that comes from that whole entrepreneur. So having gyms, owning gyms, because gyms is a numbers game, using that mindset to then apply it to a charity has actually really complemented each other really well, especially our charities. So yeah. And that was the beginning of it. And so we stemmed from doing food parcels to then establishing a charity to then going down the resource of funding. And now we've got programs that we run. So yeah,
I'm just sitting here just amazed and hearing that story. And what's cool about, I can hear the passion behind your voice when you talk about this. And a lot of it, I believe, comes from your experience. And you talked about your upbringing, and being influenced by gangs and drugs, that kind of thing. And then education was very hard for you, just didn't work for you. And you kind of it sounded like, the gym was kind of like the saving grace, or the catalyst for, because it's a lot more physical and hands-on type of thing, and you found another way to kind of express and let out all that energy and thing in you. But also what I've learnt from your story and your journey is you've had people, you're surrounded by good people and networks who are willing to collaborate and give you resources, and they're willing to give it because you have an awesome cause and they believe in the cause.
Yeah, I think it's awesome that you've touched base on that, because I think a lot of our brothers and our families and our people, they don't realize you don't need money to help you get somewhere. You don't need money. If you can provide value, the money will come. If you can provide value in some context that people can't develop themselves, whether it's applying yourself to helping someone look better, whether it's applying yourself to help maybe someone make feel better. You've got makeup artists, you've got trainers, you've got all these people that add value, but it's because they've got that developed that value in themselves. Does it make sense? Like, people think that you need to have money to make, well, you do, but there's also things where you can actually develop yourself to be able to add value to someone else where they'll give you money for that, in that exchange. So that comes with that. And then what you'll find is the people surrounding you have value and they will give you money. Like, we've got people, so for our gyms, we've got people that want to invest in our gyms. And like, oh, I'm just some South Auckland kid, and it's amazing, but it's because of the journey that I've been through. It's allowed me to be able to add value to these people's lives, and they're like, man, we want to help you monetary wise, because I can't help them obviously monetary wise, but they can do it vice versa because it's the value that I give to them. So, and that allows you to be able to surround yourself with amazing people and add value to their life. So
I love that. And it comes back to what you said before around, you're not just handing out or trying to give people fish, you're trying to teach them how to fish, build their value, build their knowledge, their skills, and then they can go out there and make more money or opportunities.
Just, bro, and just be able to break that cycle. That's the biggest thing, we're not massively, if we're just giving them food all the time, then we're not really enabling them as a person. But if we can advance their knowledge and teach them better ways, then we're actually making them think and actually think on their own 2 feet, and then that actually allows them to break cycles so that they can actually teach their kids, hey kids, this is how you do it. Because in New Zealand, and we all know that there's a statistic, there's a lot of intergenerational whānau, because they don't know any better. They're on the benefit and they've been on the benefit for so long. And you find that the grandparents, parents, we can't hate them for being on the benefit. It's because that's all they know. So if we can apply a different way, and if we can get ourselves into their whares and get into their kids and break that cycle, then we're advancing the way that they think. And they're actually thinking like, hey, there's a different way to live. There's a different way to do things. And that only comes down to us being, as an organization like yourself, to provide education. And that comes from resources. Like, we're so blessed to get a substantial amount of funding, which we can then apply to help families in need. Because it's like, it's that saying, you don't know what you don't know. Like, how can we help these people if they don't know any better? They don't know any better. Like, I'm the same person. Like, if I don't know something, it's because I haven't gone out of my way to get that education. So if we can help them think in a better context, like these families, then it actually helps us break these barriers, breaks these ways of living. So,
I love that. And I love that you guys, Kura Cares is not just all about, you do the food parcels, you do the food drives and that, and the vouchers, but I like how you use the classes, as and then the food as an incentive. You're trying to teach them how to fish. So talk a little bit about these, specifically the at-risk youth program, because I'd love to hear about, because you got multiple programs, but then you've got this at-risk one. So how did this one come about? What gave birth to it?
So the ram raids. So obviously we've noticed a massive increase in Tāmaki Makaurau with the ram raids, and it's something that we've kind of become immune to now. And so I ended up reaching out to a few schools and a few friends. Schools, I mean, in terms of schools that are in the facilities. So we work with Kingsley which is a school that provides education for whakataka pokai and kora waimanaki, which are the current boys' homes. Well, not boys' homes, but for our at-risk youth. And so I reached out to one of my friends, Jamie, and he reached out, hey bro, we want to get something going with some mentoring. And I said, well, why don't we use the gym? Why don't we use this? Because it's helped me. Why don't we use this to help you? And so we ended up teeing up, helping. It's amazing seeing these boys, and again, it comes down to them just being mentored because they don't know any better. And so what we're dealing with at the moment is a whole lot of kids that are finding education, they can't comprehend it like myself. So what they do is, it's an outburst. They're dealing with hormones, and so they're going out their way to create harm. They're going out their way to ram raid. And what we've found with dealing with this program was that we are able to use something physical to help deal with their mental. And that's how the Positive Pathways course has come upon. So we've dealt with over, I think it's about 120 boys, well, not mainly boys, but mainly boys from these amazing sites that do their best to keep them, off the streets and, out of creating crime. And so we bring them into our HQ, we mentor them, we get them to do workouts, we get really awesome mentors on board. And so the main thing is it's about 80% workout, but then there's 20% mentoring as well that complements the sessions. And so we get awesome men that come and mentor them. Because a lot of the time, a lot of these boys, they create crime because they don't have a father figure at home. And so we make sure that we've got good men that mentor them throughout this course, that are grounded, that have got morals and ethics, because it would do them a disservice if we provide these young boys with ex-gang members, not ex-gang members, but current gang members. So we try to make sure that we provide them with good men, church, people that go to church, men that go to church, that are teaching them different ways of thinking, different values, and different ways of being able to be a better person. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So the ram raids gave birth to that idea.
Yeah.
And it is a problem here in New Zealand,
Yep.
and it's ongoing. You see it on the news almost
Yep.
every other day. And it's great that you've partnered up with someone to help add
Yeah.
an element of physical. And it reminds me of your story.
Yeah, bro.
Where you found the gym.
Correct.
And then, you're providing that same platform for
thing.
them as well. So tell us a little bit about that. I mean, I
Yep.
get the mentoring part, and I get having a role model
Yep.
and having a good example there to influence. Tell us about the workout part. How does that help them with the positive change?
Bro, yeah, that's a really good question. So boys are testosterone-driven people, right? Girls are emotional-driven people, right? We all know that. It's common. It's not. You don't have to be a scientist to know that. So testosterone comes with physical. That's why a lot of young boys, they look at themselves, they take the shirts off, look, abs and whatnot. And so that's why it was crucial for us to be able to give them something physical to do, so that they feel that because the thing is, a lot of men, a lot of boys, they need to feel things. They need to hit things. It's we all know that. So that's why we made sure with the program, we had to make sure that there was a gym element or some workout element. So this is actually a really good conversation, because we actually run a girls course called Future Wahine, which is focused on only women. Now there's only a very small physical element to it, but a lot of it is just sitting down with them because they're emotional beings. So with the two courses, they run alongside each other, but the way we run them is two totally different ways. So with the girls course, we've got women that only run it, and they do a lot of mentorship where they sit down with them, they talk to them about their home life, they take them out to get their nails done, all that stuff, because it's an emotional factor. Where the Positive Pathways course, we take them through the workouts and we get all that testosterone out, and then we sit down with them. Because testosterone, when you understand testosterone and estrogen, it's a big defining driver with how both sexes think. Testosterone is a very physical way of thinking. It's very aggressive, and it's very alpha. Where estrogen is a little bit different. It's a very on the same level. You need to understand me, all types of stuff. So that's how we created both programs, but that's how we structured the Positive Pathways course. We said to the team, we've got to make sure that there's a physical element, the gym element, which is why we do that. So yeah.
That's amazing. When I hear that, there's a lot of, obviously you take into consideration science, you know, the chemicals within the body, the emotions, and it's awesome that you've got science to back up your programs. And obviously share an experience or an example, maybe a story that's come from these
positive pathways. Yep. So there was a young kid. I can't say his name due to confidentiality reasons, but a lot of the time. But there was this one kid where I rocked up to so I took one of the sessions. I went to the school. They do the screening, you know, make sure you go on. So I went in with our gym trailer. We go on, and so there was actually not one kid. There was actually a group of them. And whenever you turn up to the class, they're always staunch, you know, they're always staunch because it's the alpha thing. And as long as you show you care, you give them attention and you give them discipline, because that's what I didn't realize, that those are the three things that boys crave at that age. Did you know that? I didn't even know that. So it's attention, care, and discipline. At 15 years old, apparently, So I forgot what there's a podcast I was listening to, and it makes a lot of sense. And if you think about that, that's why they go to gangs, because they give them attention, they give them care, but they also give them discipline, because he's always a leader in gangs. And that's why they always naturally go to, that's why boys always go to gangs, because it's an easier pathway, but they always give that. And so anyway, I went to one of the schools, you know, I go there, obviously being the newbie, and there's about 15 odd kids there, all boys, because they never mix the sexes up. They're all gay, and they're all staunch as, they don't shake your hand, you know. I took them to a workout, encouraged them, giving them all that care factor, giving them that encouragement, giving them that discipline. By the end of the workout, they're hugging you. You know, it's amazing. And a lot of the time it comes down to just giving that care factor, having the resources to be able to give them that care, giving them resources to give them mentorship, but giving them the resources to actually give them discipline. And that was amazing. And when I spoke to my friend Jamie, I said, bro, these are good kids. And he goes, yeah, they are. But it's just that society doesn't understand them. And because society doesn't understand them, because society thinks that everyone needs to think a certain way, you know, it's one shoe fits all, but it's not. Like it's wrong, because one shoe doesn't fit all. We all learn different ways. You know, there's different types of learning. You know, you got visual, you got your listening, and then you also got your practical. You know, different ways of learning. And the hard thing about the education system at the moment is that it teaches you must listen all the time. But what about the practical side? You know, what about the visual side? There's different ways of learning, and that's the hard thing about the current education system, is that it's one shoe fits all, but it doesn't. And so what we did is that session, or I will never forget, it was the first ever session I did, and I was like, wow, these kids, and that's the hard thing, society and news, the media, they tarnish them, and it's understandable, because obviously it's a bad thing what they do, but there's a reasoning behind what they do, and it's not justifiable, not at all, but there's a reason behind it. Understand where they've come from, understand that, you know, not everyone thinks this way, and that's why they become that way. But it's up to us as responsible organizations to actually drop down the ego, take the time to understand it, do the research, and be like, okay, that's why these kids are like this. Let's apply our principles or the way we do things differently, and the outcome. And these kids, man, like, don't get me wrong, they come in and out of the institutions, but they always have my back. They always, you know, they always say, hey, how Rich, how's it going? Because I gave them that care factor. At one time, I'll be honest, there was a little incident. One of the boys, he came into our HQ, one of the trainers, and he didn't listen. Understandably, you know, that's the boys we deal with. And one of the coaches, one of the facilitators said, wait, did you not listen to me? Gave him a little bit of a hard time. And he went to go punch the wall. And it was fine. And I went to go speak to him. I said, hey, bro, how come you did that? And he goes, because the facilitator, you know, gave him a hard time. I said, well, do you hate me? And he goes, no. And this guy's big, man. He's a tough kid. And I said, why did you do that? Because he gave him a hard time. And I said to him, well, you know, when you hit that, you hit me. And he dropped down his ego straight away. And straight away he just dropped, because there's that care factor, because I had already shown him care beforehand, leading up to that moment. And that's all that we need in our homes, in our whares, to stop these kids from committing crime. They just need that discipline. That's the hard thing. They need that discipline. They need that care factor. And that's where we have created this program, the Positive Pathways program, to create care, discipline, and care. So, yeah.
What a great program.
Yeah.
And just amazing. And it's cool to hear these stories. These are proof and evidence that these programs are working. You know, you're doing a great job. I love it. You mentioned three things that I love there. You know, the three ingredients there: care, attention, and discipline as
Yeah.
well. That's awesome.
That's it. Those three things.
Those three things, eh? And you also, what I love about your program is you've got a physical workout element to it. So what's your advice for maybe people who don't have a gym or set up like that, but they do maybe work with youth or young people between the ages of 18 and 25 type of thing? Like, well, what can they do to help implement some of those three ingredients that you talked about there?
Yeah, so if you're dealing with youth, always take them on a physical aspect if you can, like whether it's mountain climbing or whether it's going for a walk, something physical, whether it's a run, just something physical. It doesn't always have to be a gym. The only reason why the only reason why the gym is such a good asset is because men, they like to feel like they're better than something at that age. So if they can see that they're doing a better bench press because it's something that they can measure, it's measurable. You can't measure a run, you know what I mean? But if you bench press 100 kgs, that's measurable. And if you can measure that against someone else, then you feel better, you know? But if you don't have the luxury of having a gym, then doing a run, doing push-ups, you know, all that type of stuff, doing a body weight workout always works. But there has to be that physical aspect, especially with boys. But yeah.
I love that. It could be like a trip
Yeah,
somewhere,
man, yeah.
and then turn that into a lesson or a discussion afterwards.
Yeah.
I love that. Not just sitting in the classroom all day.
Yeah, because I always look at youth. They're like because they've got so much testosterone, and especially if they're inside those institutions, you know, and it's just boiling. You know, there's just water going into these cups. That's what it's like, and they don't get a chance to release it. And so what the workouts do as well is it lets them release all that frustration, all that, because a lot of the time, a lot of the battles are done in the brain, you know. And if they don't get that opportunity to let it out, it's just going to become this festering bad energy that's just built up over time because they're just in these rooms for like, you know, however long they are. And so if you can give them that opportunity to let it out, you know, it just does wonders.
That's amazing. So you got a physical workout element to it. Obviously, you talked about the mentoring.
Yeah.
What are some of the topics or skills that you try to equip them with in this program?
The biggest thing is just dealing with their emotions. And how to address situations better. That's the main thing. So our facilitators focus on those two main things. So how to deal with situations better. For instance, like that boy that punched the wall, just dealing with it to that degree. Like, hey bro, you know, this is how you do it. Think of it like this: if you punch that, you punch someone else. You know, someone else has worked hard to get that. Do you hate that person? Well, if you don't, then why'd you punch it? Same thing with tagging. You know, like especially when kids go out and tagging. Well, you got to understand that. Like if you go out and tag, someone else is going to have to pay for that. Do you hate that person? Well, no. And dealing with the emotions. So trying to not think bad, trying to not think toxic, but letting the hormones get released by doing a workout allows that, you know, because emotion, a lot of the emotion comes with anger, fear, because a lot of fear comes, especially because if they're being abused in their homes. So you're learning to basically be able to work with the emotions better.
So I love that you focused on helping them deal with the emotions. Because with that, there's a lot of like, you know, it's problem solving, it's critical thinking, being rational, you know, slowing down before you make decisions.
Yes.
So I love that.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's the hard thing is a lot of the time it's done from emotion. And the thing is emotion drives everything, you know. I'm emotionally to come here, I had emotions come here, you know. Emotions drive everything. But it's allowing us to be able to talk to our kids, the people that participate, our young boys that participate in the Positive Pathways program, about how to deal with those emotions better. Like, think before you act. You know, we all said it, our parents said it, think before you act, and just trying to teach them in a different way. So
yeah. Is there one thing that you can maybe share on how you achieved that? Or like, I guess one of the biggest ways that help these boys with dealing with their emotions? What would be that common one thing that's really helped them?
So our facilitators, they take them through different types of classes. The best thing that we've found, funny enough, is taking them through boxing classes and Muay Thai, because it's a discipline. So one of our instructors, one of our facilitators, Brother Rich, he says to them, hey, I take boxing and Muay Thai real seriously. And the thing is, these boys love that, you know, they love the fight, you know, because again, it's a dominating alpha type of physical scene. But the thing is, he says to him, don't punch the bag. If you punch the bag, you won't be able to jump on the bag. I take it real seriously, and discipline is necessary during this whole thing. So, and it reminds me of that whole Mr. Miyagi Karate Kid. So you've got a whole lot of kids that are fiending to punch the bag, right. But he uses it as a discipline. no, listen to all these cues before you can punch back. And so that's what we've found as one of the biggest assets is doing boxing and Muay Thai with these boys. I know it's probably not a good thing because we're teaching them to fight, but we're trying to teach them in a better way to how to control that. Like, don't just go out and punch someone. It's a discipline, and it's something that you've got to take for, you've got to respect. So yeah, that's one of the best things that we've actually found has been really successful, because we're accommodating for what they want to do, but we're also using it for our benefit to teach them a certain way, discipline. So yeah.
Yeah, I think discipline's quite interesting. You mentioned that because you mentioned, care. I get that.
Yeah.
Everybody needs care.
Yeah.
Attention. I
Yeah.
get that. But discipline, I find quite interesting, especially in the home or even in school. When people think of discipline,
It's
they don't tell
bad.
me what to do. It's
Yeah.
bad. I feel restricted. It's a barrier. Like, why is discipline such a thing that actually helps?
Well, I think the reason why people think it's bad because it's always put in a negative way. Disciplinary action, or you're going to be disciplined. But it's also such a good thing, because it's basically, I look at it as like, no, these are the parameters. That's what discipline does. This is the parameters. And so discipline is really important because these kids don't know what good and bad is. They don't know what good and bad is. They haven't been taught it at home. So they need to be taught it. And so what discipline does is it teaches them good from bad. If you do this, there's a consequence. If you do this, there's a consequence. No matter what you do, good or bad, there's always a positive and negative consequence, And so what we try to do is teach them that if you do this, this is what happens. And that's the reason why they're in these institutions, That's why they're in there, because they don't know the difference between good and bad. So that's why discipline is so important. But it's how you discipline them. That's the way to do it. There's a different way to discipline them. See, I always say this, so, being a Pacific Islander, and yourself, our parents didn't know any better. They were taught, you get the tauwhale out, you hit them, which is the broom in English, or something like that. You discipline our kids, But there's a different way to discipline them, and that's with love. It's a delivery. We discipline them with love and care. And so that's what I mean by care. With these boys, they don't have, it's care, it's love, because care is, love. And so if you give them discipline, but with that love, like I did with this young boy, they learn that, okay, good and bad, that's the difference between the two. That's why discipline is so important, because it teaches them good and bad, but it's how you deliver it.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's not that discipline is a bad thing. It's how you discipline.
Yeah.
And you can use it to help
Correct.
bring out the best in you.
100%.
That's
100%.
quite interesting. Yeah, because for growing up in that, you think, oh, you're being disciplined because you've done something
Yeah.
bad, you're getting punished.
But discipline is love. I look at discipline as true love. Like, if you're not disciplined enough to go for a run, or you don't love yourself, or if you're not disciplined enough to stay away from that pie, then discipline is not always a bad thing, but it's self-love. And so if you can discipline someone else, I believe that it's love, because you care for that person. You don't want them to go down the path that you've been to. So you're going to tell them, no, this is the consequence if you do this. However, I'm going to tell you in a different way, or I'm going to show you in a different way. You don't always have to give them a hiding or physically, because that doesn't work, I just think, that I always, and it was funny because when I was a kid, I always said to myself, I'll never hit my boy, and I never have. I can say that with a hand on my Bible. I've never hit my boy. We might have got into a physical altercation, open hands, but I'll never hit him, because that was one thing I never wanted to do, and so I try to practice those things. So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And coming back to what you said, breaking the cycle there.
Breaking the cycle, and it takes leaders in our families to do that, to see like, no, I don't want that in my future, I don't want that in my family, so I'm going to do things differently. So yeah.
Yeah, and I love that cares is in the name, Kura Cares Charity.
Yeah, that's it.
What you guys are all about.
Correct.
And I love your mindset and how you approach and look at things from a generational perspective.
Yeah.
If you can change this youth, you think about the generations that come afterwards.
100%, bro. Like, I'm a big believer, like, if we can just change one family or one child, you got to remember that child is going to have kids, and the multitudes will just continue from there. So if you can change one person, you change generations. And so, our programs might not hit everyone, they might not change everyone, but if we can change a few, eventually we'll change many.
I love it. Well, hey, you've dropped a lot of good value and insights, especially for youth here. And it's just awesome. Any parent out there or anybody that works with youth will find this very valuable.
Yeah.
And, as we draw closer to the end of the podcast, speaking to some of the youth out there, what would be a message or a few things that you'd love to leave with them?
So just remember that like I said at the beginning, your current situation isn't your final destination. And to surround yourself with people that are going to help you. There's a good saying, show me your friends, I'll show you your future. Please be mindful of that whoever you surround yourself with is going to be your future. And that is true. That is so true. And so be selective with who you are. Look at your future. Don't think that your current situation right now is going to be your future. Like if you're born in poverty, you've got the power in your two hands to change your destiny. It's in your two hands. You don't have to have money. You don't have to have been born into wealth. You just got to understand that your decisions that you make every day define your future. And I look at decisions as a brick. So whenever you wake up, you're laying a brick. Whenever you're laying up, and Will Smith always said, and I always say this all the time, whenever you wake up, you're laying a brick. How you decide to yourself, like how you're going to do things is how you're going to lay that brick. So everything you do, from waking up to grooming to taking the hard route to making good decisions, that defines how good you're going to lay that brick. So just remember to yourself that every decision you make right now is going to help define your future, and be mindful with the people that you surround yourself with. Like, are you surrounding yourself with good people or bad people? Because those people are going to help you or disable you. And so if you can remember those two things, that is crucial, because that's going to help you become a better self, a better version of yourself.
Ooh, I love that. Some great final advice there. And if anybody wants to get in touch with you, whether it's youth, parent,
Yes.
or anybody that wants to partner with
Yep.
you, how can they do that?
So come onto our page, onto our Facebook page, our Instagram page, our email, kuracarestrust@gmail.com. Our programs are starting up real soon. So February, we've got our programs starting up. We've got our Future Wahines course starting mid-February. We've got our Positive Pathways course starting early Feb. And then our Whānau Hotakas, which is our financial literacy course, starting up beginning of Feb. So if you want to participate in any of our courses, they're completely free. They're awesome courses done with facilitators that have a heart for the community. And please reach out to us. It's open to all. And we do Whānau Hotaka, our financial literacy course. Funnily enough, that was developed by Z Education, our first module, which we are thankful for. That's done online as well now, which is amazing, because we've got so many registrations. It's incredible. So it shows that the need is there. So yeah.
Just amazing. Great opportunities. You don't want to miss out. There you go. Thank you again so much for
Thank you,
your
my brother.
time. We're better for it. Founder and chairman of Kura Cares Charity. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, brother. I mean,